Well, Eon is so particular with this brand,
which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like the one company that has not given in to fan demand when the fans get do this, do that.
Well, fans bitched that Daniel Craig was cast, and look how great he turned out to be.
Yeah, they're always wrong. Like, how could you replace Brosnan? How could you do Daniel Craig? He's gonna suck. Why did you not have all the James Bonds come back for this movie? Why was Sean Connery not the old guy in Skyfall?
Welcome to Idiot Plot, a comedic podcast critiquing, discussing, and analyzing the media industry through reviews, debates, and historical deep dives.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the episode of Idiot Plot. I'm David Yanish. Joining me today are my co-hosts Alex Overdahl,
Shaken, not stirred,
and Justin Neitzel.
Bond. James Bond.
That's right. Today's episode, we're talking No Time to Die. The final Daniel Craig James Bond film finally came out after, 18 months of delays. It's out. We saw it. We're going to talk about it, what we liked, what we didn't like. Is this the conclusion that we all hoped it was? Was this disappointment? We'll get into that. But first, we're going to do what we always do, because there's a lot of stuff that's come out that we haven't talked about yet. So we're kind of going to do what we watched thing really quick here. Alex, why don't you set us off? Or start us off, I should say.
Well,
I'm sure you will set me off, probably.
I don't know why, but I probably will. I watched the 1970 film The Conformist, which, if you haven't heard of it...
hold up. Let me go check my grandparents' basement quick.
It's an Italian film. It's not a grandparents' basement film.
What if my family's Italian?
That would explain my love for SpaghettiOs.
The traditional Italian dish. But it's about like fascist era Italy, late 30s, early 40s, and
here we go with the depressing shit.
Basically, well, yeah. And he is basically contracted by the government to assassinate his former college professor because he's like speaking out against the government. But really, it's more about him as a character and kind of how he doesn't really fit in with the society, and he's got like repressed trauma and things of that sort that like go against like the fascist ideals. But he, in order to belong to something, or like he wants to basically be, quote, normal, so he just conforms to what they want, and like, in that aids like, all these horrible things and does horrible things to kind of fit in, which is very interesting study of like how those kind of things continue and how fascism can get established. And also, I mean, it's probably most famous for cinematography. Like, I mean, it looks amazing. It all contributes to like the themes and him as a character. Very well made. The director, I'm gonna butcher this, but Bernardo Bertolucci. Also,
say it
like
in the accent, it's easier.
Bertolucci. Yeah, he won the Oscar for Last Emperor later on, which also won Best Picture. So he's up for an Oscar for this. So like he had a lot of success later, but this one has had a lot of influence in terms of especially cinematography. So I thought it was excellent. It's one of those that kind of the more I think about it, the more I like it, and it's very thought provoking and very well made.
If you had to rate it, what would you give it?
I would say right now I'm at 4 out of 5. I feel like that could go up.
Really?
But that's where I'm at for now. I mean, I liked it a lot, and yeah, it's kind of like sticking with me.
Okay. Is it on anything?
Not currently.
Okay. Sounds interesting. Like, this kind of stories sound like they do interest me.
It is on IndieFlix.
The heck is that?
I think that's a library one.
Oh.
Or can you just watch stuff? I think I've seen this one before. I think it's a library one, but it feels like I'm honestly surprised Criterion doesn't have it. I think someone else has it, but it's one that like I can easily see them doing.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a Criterion film. Foreign, old, popular but forgotten.
Good cinematography.
Hard, not necessarily available.
Yeah, I'd recommend it if it comes to, something accessible.
Would you say it's something worth seeking out if it's not accessible?
Yes.
Okay. That is the important question with some films, right? Like, because some of the films, especially the ones we talk about, might never just come right into your lap on a streaming service.
Right. So, paid rental or at a library, something like that is something that, would be definitely worth checking out there.
I mean, I love, because that storyline of like the conforming for fascism and stuff, that can be taken and spread to so many different themes, like to make it like universal, right?
Yeah, it does a lot with that, like not spoiling, but like there are some specifically like the things he's running from and the things he's trying to conform to avoid are very like relevant or like universal.
Mm-hmm. But even then, that whole concept you can apply it to schoolyards, office places, just doing awful stuff just to fit in. And this is the extreme, right? Like we've all done that. This is the extreme of that.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like, yeah, and it's funny how like the things, like the reasons he's trying to, it does show like those normal situations like him as a kid in school and stuff, but it's like the thing he's conforming into is so extreme.
It sounds really interesting. I'll forgive the depressing stuff because I know that what you've actually been watching we'll talk about in a little bit.
That is also true.
so we can get to that when we get to that. But Justin, how about you?
I've finished, because it just last episode aired this last weekend, the Starz series Heels, starring Stephen Amell and Alexander Ludwig are the only big names that I know of. But it's
actually heard of this.
It's actually really good. It's two brothers who are basically rivals in a wrestling league thing that Stephen Amell runs, and a bunch of shenanigans go down. They're trying to make their platform bigger, trying to record posts online, trying to get everybody involved, trying to get the show really big, and they actually get in season finale they get to play at a fairground, which was big for them. Cast is mostly people I haven't really heard of except for Stephen Amell and Alexander Ludwig. James Harrison's actually in this, former Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker. He's actually really good. I'm kind of surprised.
I mean, I got really into like hate watching wrestling during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So actually, I know way more about wrestling than I feel like I should admit.
Probably. I do know, I don't know if he's a former, I think he came back or whatever, but CD Punk or whatever.
Or CM Punk.
CM Punk, he makes a couple guest appearances in a couple episodes. I mean, as a guy who I don't really watch wrestling that much, I watched it I saw a trailer and I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. And I watched it and I think the series was pretty good. Only problem I really had was it's kind of seemed to like escalate really quickly, and you didn't really get a chance to breathe with some of the drama that was going on. By the next episode, there was more drama that was like, I don't think they really needed to add at times. But I suggest people check it out, get like a month for free or whatever, signing up for Starz, because as of right now, this hasn't been greenlit for season 2, and I kind of want, the way the finale went, I kind of want a season 2, so watch this.
people need to watch it fast if that's to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't need Starz.
Yeah, Starz will be hard because not many people have Starz.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing that was really bothering is like, because it's Starz, they have like we need a sex scene in every episode. Was kind of
Starz is bad. It's like worse than HBO with that, especially like Spartacus. Oh my goodness.
I'm like, I've watched this series and it's like, okay, cool nudity, sex scene, whatever. Next episode, another one. It's like,
get to the wrestling.
Well, that's the thing. There's not as much wrestling or whatever as you'd think there would be, and then there's more sex scenes than wrestling. It's like, come on, guys, I came for the wrestling.
It's not real wrestling.
What I will say is, like, I'm interested in the show only because wrestling culture is really interesting.
And it kind of tackles wrestling culture because they're also dealing with like a rival, because there's what they call their group is like the DWL, and they're facing off against some other, and they take place in Georgia, and they're also going up against ratings from a wrestling gig guy down in Jacksonville.
Well, because like we all know WWE, AEW is getting big, but like WWE, but there's tons of those small ones like this show is talking about where it's people at like high school gyms and crap.
Yeah.
And they're terrible, awful. We have one here in Twin Cities that airs on one of the stations that I work at like noon on Saturdays that we sometimes watch when we're bored at work. Mm-hmm. That is no offense to the guys who make it. It's terrible. like it's so cheesy, fake. Like they're not even close to hitting each other. But there's just something interesting about the culture, about the people that do it. That's kind of endearing.
And that's what kind of got me kind of interested in the show, was watching the trailer, and they were it was it kind of seemed to focus on the culture around a small town wrestling thing, and I was like, well, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's an interesting pick. I want to see it. I don't know if I ever will because of Starz. Hopefully, it goes to a bigger streaming service and kind of like the syndication type thing. Because I think that would really help it too, especially because Starz it might not get that big of an audience.
Yeah, that's what happened. Like Spartacus going to Netflix, I think like that made it more popular now than it was at the time.
Yeah, as far as I've seen, I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it. So
well, hopefully someday season 2 can happen. I
know the showrunner said that he's got like 5 seasons planned out already. So
yeah, but I feel like shows are getting canceled earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can get to that. But gosh, especially if a comedy show can get to season 3, it's probably in the 99% or top 1%, at least at this point. But yeah, for my pick, I saw it in the theater because I was bored after work one day. Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Carnage.
It's the sequel to the cinematic masterpiece that was Venom, which may be one of the worst superhero movies I've ever seen.
Just really saying a lot.
I hated the first movie. The direction is horrible. This one, I didn't hate. I didn't think it was a complete dumpster fire. I think there's some entertaining bits, mostly doing with Woody Harrelson's character and some of the stuff that they do with Venom, like as a character, the relationship between, because they have it where Venom and Eddie Brock are 2 separate characters, basically, and that leads to some pretty good character dynamics.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because you've seen this too, right, Justin?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's some good dynamics. However, I saw a review by a guy I like on YouTube. Your movie sucks, and he made a point that that once I saw, I couldn't get out of my head, and that is the movie. Nothing happens in it.
Yeah, basically.
Honestly, nothing happens in it.
Except
it's really
Carnage kills a bunch of guys off screen, and that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, the plot's nothing. Carnage is cool. It needed to be rated R really bad, and it wasn't. It does stuff too, like Alex G. You'd be so pissed. Because there's a point in the story where Eddie and Venom get broken up for like no real reason.
So it's the pointless misinformation plot.
It's the pointless characters fight before the final battle cliche.
So they can come together and defeat the villain.
Which Venom gets all freaked out. It's like, that is a red one. It's like, well, we never learned why the red one was so bad.
Yeah, they never explain it. I will say that Andy Serkis was both the best and worst person to direct it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the mocap work is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The visual effects are amazing. Visually,
yeah,
it's bland. And then you got Robert Richardson to do the cinematography, and that dude's a legend.
But, I mean, to be fair, the first one was bland too.
Yeah, but this one, he's clearly lighting for the mocap.
True.
Which is why it looks all weird, because stylized lighting on mocap is really hard. And this movie inspired me to watch another film that completely is forgotten. Had a bunch of hype about it until another movie came out and killed it. And that's Mowgli: Legend of the Jungle.
I've seen this too.
Oh, you saw that one?
Yeah, I saw it when it came to Netflix or whatever. I was curious.
I really liked the first half of that movie. And then the second half has one of the worst third act climaxes I've ever seen. But that movie is also directed by Andy Serkis, right?
Right.
And it has me thinking he's just not that good of a director.
So far, yeah.
Because the issues I have with Mowgli, I have with Venom 2, which is boring lighting, boring camera work. The sets look faker than the fake ones in the Jungle Book Disney one, which I actually really like.
I did like his voice cast for his Jungle Book movie better.
Oh yeah, his voice cast. The performances are great. The mocap is beautiful. But the thing, he's good with actors because he is an actor and he's a very good actor, and he's good with mocap because he's very good at mocap. He's just not very good at telling a story. Yeah, I love Andy Serkis, but he needs to learn some stuff if he's gonna keep directing movies.
Again, this is still the most shock. Like, I remember when it was announced that he was directing this one, I was kind of like, why? Because of mocap. Well, actually, I think Tom Hardy has a lot more of a creative presence in these movies than they'll admit. Then he probably should.
There's a creative presence in these movies.
Fair enough. It's called Corp Greed, Alex.
I will say, I did enjoy this one slightly better than the first one, but I mean, it's basically the same movie.
It is. It's here's Venom. He's a good symbiote. Oh, evil symbiote, dude. He's killing people. Better stop him.
Here's Eminem.
Oh no, Venom wants to eat people, but that's not okay.
So we give him chickens, but then he bonded with 2 of them and doesn't want to eat them.
Yeah, it's not great. But spoiler alert. My final thoughts of spoiler alert. The post-credit scene reveals he's probably going to be in the 3rd Spider-Man, which means that you thought this movie couldn't be even more of a clusterfuck. You were wrong.
Yeah.
Why?
I honestly don't know what they're doing.
I just laughed. I just started laughing.
That's kind of what I did. It's kind of like that hysterical laugh where you're just like, what the hell?
Because I don't even know what's going on anymore. Like I don't think they know what's going on anymore.
No.
But Sony is trying to make this big, and it made a crap ton of money so far, at least by COVID standards. I think it's the highest grossing domestic for COVID right now.
I think so.
Just hysterical.
And painful. At least domestic for sure. It's like killing that.
But worldwide, the big hit is our feature presentation.
No.
And that's No Time to Die. Forgot to have for a second. But it's out. We saw it. Finally.
I can't believe I actually saw this fucking movie. I've been waiting since 2019 to see this movie.
Actually real.
I think was it 2019? Was that when the first trailer dropped? Because I was excited as soon as the first trailer dropped.
Oh yeah. It dropped. Was there a trailer? I don't remember. I know that was like supposed to be the original release date. That might have also been when there was a trailer. It's been so long.
Yeah, like I remember.
But I know
like
it's supposed to come out like 2019.
Trailer dropped like just before the pandemic or something. So
yeah,
like,
the song came out. The Billie Eilish song came out in 2019 as well.
Which I gotta say, not the best Bond song.
Wait,
I really liked it.
It was supposed to come out in April of 2020.
Oh yeah, it was also supposed to come out before that.
Like right as COVID hit is when it was supposed to come out, and I think it might have been like the first big pushback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got pushed back again.
And again.
And again.
It's finally here.
Yeah, and well, I think they reached a point where they're like, "Fuck it, this has to come out." I think especially with the MGM Amazon deal happening, I think it needed to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's pretty successful. But the question, the $1 million question, was it worth the wait?
Who goes first?
I think so.
I mean, we can go around. I mean, I think it was.
I think so. It was a lot better than Spectre and Quantum of Solace. I put this as the 3rd best Craig movie.
That's it for me. We'll probably get into this, but I'm a big Quantum of Solace defender. I actually really like that movie.
I'd have to rewatch it. Honestly, the first time I watched it, I was so bored.
That happened to me, and then I watched it again. I'm like, wow, I actually really like this.
Having seen Quantum of Solace like way after it came out, I enjoyed it. Not a lot, but I enjoyed it. But I understand why people because I think people that didn't like it were still coming off the Brosnan movies a little bit.
That and also coming off the high of freaking Casino Royale.
Yeah, which might be the best.
Bond was changing. Craig is not like traditional Bond.
Nope.
And that's funny because like, there are elements of Casino. I mean, not Casino. There are elements of Quantum that like I'm not gonna say feel like traditional Bond or Brosnan Bond, but like they've done stuff like that before, like the Dalton movies and stuff. But there are also some people a little torn on those as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Quantum's only like 90 minutes.
Yeah, that's honestly maybe like it feels concise, but like it feels like there was.
It feels so much longer.
It's certainly better than Spectre. Yeah, and it does feel longer than it is, and it's like there was room for more because I mean Spectre certainly feels more threatening in that movie than it does in Spectre.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check out Quantum of Solace again.
But I would also rank it probably 3rd in my Craig Bond movies, but not because I think the other ones were that bad.
No, the other 2 are just that good.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. For me, it's like I would also put this 3rd. It's certainly worth the wait. I was really happy, but it is like just the strength. I mean, Casino and Skyfall are like top 5, top 3 Bond movies, right? So like I mean, they're just so good that it's like I can't put it over either of those 2, but it's like
they're hard to top.
It's a damn good movie. It's one, it's in that upper ranking of like the really, really good Bond films.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I was stunned by some scenes. The plot for that they don't know. Bond is retired. Obviously, doesn't stay retired. His wife or girlfriend, I'm not quite sure what they are at the beginning of the movie.
Didn't they get married at the end of Spectre?
I didn't.
So they drive off together, but they did not get married, and I don't think.
Okay, because I couldn't remember.
Think they're married at the start of this.
Again, I probably should have rewatched them.
They're together, but Bond thinks that she betrays him and is actually working with Spectre and leaves her and disappears, where he is got out of retirement by Felix, played by Jeffrey Wright from the other movies, to kind of go on this big final mission. And then he kind of meets up with old friends, old foes.
Also, this is how you do a misinformation-based plot, people. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, it is. Because basically, I mean, there's this point in time where Bond's fighting MI6, he joins MI6. It's like an ultimate Bond movie. It has all the characters. It has all of the plot stuff that you would expect from a Bond film. It has all the stunts you expect from a Bond film. It has car chases.
Finally bringing back
chases.
The gadgets.
Yep, gadgets.
Doing so practically.
It checks off all the boxes, which I think was a big complaint a lot of the Craig movies have gotten from like traditional Bond people. At least some of them have, which is they don't check all the Bond boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of course they did away with the gadgets, which fine by me because they checked the other boxes. But that's the gadgets people have talked about, or like the they were more grounded rather than kind of having that scale of the villain plan kind of thing.
Yeah, because Daniel Craig's Bond was in a lot of ways a man who was kind of ground down into a killing machine by the system, kind of regaining his humanity.
Yeah,
which is
especially ground down too by the events of Casino.
Yeah, which permeate throughout the entire series.
Yeah,
Craig films. Now, I'm not a Bond expert. Were the Craig movies, were they the first ones to do like an overarching story over all of the films of a particular Bond?
So Yes, but that doesn't. There was some continuity, so yeah. I guess for context, yeah. I mean, I'd seen like the vast majority of them before, but leading up to this, I watched all of them. So I've seen ones I hadn't seen before, and then rewatched others. So like these are all like fresh. All what is it? This was 25, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the 25th. So yeah, all of them.
I remember some would reference other movies, but there was no like direct tie-in with actors and stuff. I thought I remembered.
Right. Yeah. So this is the first one to do a plot that connects all the movies like directly, but like the original ones up until the Craig ones were technically all in the same continuity. You just didn't know what when certain things happened, or like right. The only thing that was for sure, which ties into this movie heavily, is on Her Majesty's Secret Service. All of the ones after that definitely took place after that, because there are like probably 5 or 6 films that reference that film.
Okay.
Because that's the one where Bond gets married, which also gets not referenced because it's different continuity, but like reference in terms of like callbacks to that movie in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question I have after this is, did that shared story actually work? I mean, after Spectre, I think we all thought no.
Mm. Yes and no. I think at times where they keep bringing back Eva Green's character kind of gets repetitive at times.
But No Time to Die, I think, kind of redeems that story, though, because it puts the cap on the Eva Green plot.
Yes.
Finally. And it actually ties off Spectre.
Somehow, by some miracle. Honestly, yeah, like, that was literally, I mean, I kept talking about that leading up to this one, that, like, they're never going to do this continuity again because Spectre completely bungled it. But this one, like, somehow salvages all of the pieces from that while still standing on its own. So, like, I think it worked, and I think this is a great send-off. They should never do it again.
Yeah.
They should never fucking do it again. But it worked, and this is like its own closed run that people can watch start to finish to be happy with.
I was going to say, I wonder if when you go back and watch all the Craig movies, will people have a better reaction to Spectre than what we did initially?
I think yes.
I think so, too. Like I actually watched it the day before I saw No Time to Die. That's when I rewatched Spectre, and like, there are multiple things that work with. I mean, I think the best part of Spectre, besides the opening scene, which is great, like, was the plot with Madeline, and I think that's now much stronger after this one. But some of those other side pieces, like the MI6 stuff, I think work a little better after the next movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I saw Spectre with you, Justin.
Yeah.
I remember when it ended, everyone we went with was like, well, that was kind of fucking pointless. Like that didn't, because correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Spectre supposed to be like originally? Wasn't that the final Craig film?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I remember
imagine that. I thought that at the end, rewatching it, like, imagine if this was his last movie. I was like, wow, this could like imagine
leaves a bad
like,
taste in your mouth.
Filming this, yeah, imagine filming this and like having that last scene and being like, this is the end of his run, and thinking that's like worth it.
it's so underwhelming.
Well, it also kind of goes.
It begins and ends with two helicopter, like the same helicopter stunt.
Yeah, and the first one is just way more impressive.
Well, and the other problem is it kind of goes against Bond's character, where everything kind of works out in the end.
Yeah, and this really nailed the bittersweet thing that's kind of been there from the start. Like, it doesn't work out perfectly, but he gets the job done.
I feel like Sam Mendes didn't want to make Spectre, but Cary Fukunaga really wanted to make No Time to Die.
Yeah,
definitely. There's so much more energy with this because Skyfall had that energy, but like he wasn't suited for the scale needed for Spectre, and also didn't want to be there. And like I think what's funny, like seeing interviews and stuff, because we talked about how good the open is. I think Skyfall, he talked about how important Bond openings are and how they need to be big, which isn't necessarily true. And then he tried so hard to one up an Inspector, he forgot about the rest of the fucking movie.
Yeah, well,
because it's like, and one of the best Bond openings ever is Casino, which is literally just him shooting two guys.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Like the Spectre opening is great. The rest of the movie after that is kind of like, you're going down the slope and you never go back up.
Yeah, it's pretty underwhelming. But No Time to Die's opening is like half an hour.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's so awesome.
Because it's really the first act. And that's happened before. There are some Bond movies where like it takes longer to get to the credits. But like Goldeneye has that long opening, and this one is like actually just the entire first act.
Yeah, no, I remember that. I remember being in the theater. I'm like, man, like we haven't even got to the Bond song yet. I'm like, god damn. This is really good.
Yeah, I didn't care because I was enthralled. I remember seeing it because I didn't see any reviews or anything before I saw No Time to Die. I went in there completely fresh. I didn't want to have to with any preconceived notion. And I started going. I'm like, yep, I like this. This is what we needed. This is exactly what I wanted.
Bond's back.
I mean, Daniel Craig is just so fucking cool. He's just such a cool dude.
Yeah, this one, like, performance-wise, might have been, like, his best turn in the role. Like, and you could tell, like we talked about with Fukunaga, Craig wanted to make this movie.
Yes.
Even seeing interviews after this, like, I don't think I've ever seen him as excited or, like, as, like, looking back fondly on the role as he did after this movie.
I don't think he wanted to make Spectre either.
Oh, no.
But this has so much energy to it, so much life to it. Everyone's having a good time making this movie.
Yeah.
Especially like the stunts are awesome. Like him and the Aston Martin just spinning around as the Gatling gun goes and shit. Like that's the shit we want to see in a Bond movie.
Well, that was what was so disappointing about Spectre is yes, they've kind of toned down the gadgets with the Craig movies, but then he steals the Bond car, the Aston Martin and Spectre, and then none of the gadgets are in the car, and he didn't get to use any of them.
Yeah, because they even used it in Skyfall. Even they have the guns in the car.
Yeah, and then they finally get to this one, and it's like, yes, we get to see smoke screen, throwing those things that blow out tires. It's like, yes, this is what I want.
Yeah,
the stunts were excellent too.
Oh, the stunt direction was fantastic. Has Cary Fukunaga done like a big action movie yet? Or is this his first?
No, I don't think so. Because I mean, yeah, he showed his chops with like some like actiony scenes, like in True Detective. There's the big long take, and at Beasts of No Nation, there's also like a really long take that's like a fight in a village. But like he hasn't done something of this scale before.
And like all the action scenes are good.
Well, I was also going to say like the action scenes are shot beautifully. You can actually kind of tell what's going on, and they're not cut to hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can tell it's real stunt work. There's a lot of real practical stuff, and it's so varied. Like you have the open that's in this like really congested city, and you've got the vehicle work. You've got him jumping off the bridge and the motorcycle. Then you've got honestly maybe my favorite one, which is at the Spectre meeting.
Oh yeah,
and like that whole shootout, and he's trying there. He's trying to grab the agent and get him instead of MI6. Anna de Armas is doing is shooting people. It's really fun.
That is the moment
the whole Cuba sequence is amazing.
That's the moment you can tell where everyone's having fun, especially when he pulls out the alcohol and pours him and Ana de Armas a drink. And they're like
honestly, like that's like I instantly thought like this is something I see Roger Moore doing, right? Like this feels so Bond.
Mm-hmm. Like it's and the casting of Ana de Armas, like perfect too. Like she is phenomenal in the movie, and she's barely in it.
I was gonna say you want more of her in this film.
And some people are gonna say she didn't do anything. It's pointless. It's like no, like she serves a purpose to kind of show like the next generation of agents and stuff. And part of it is her and Daniel Craig just have so much fantastic chemistry together. We saw it in Knives Out.
Yeah, well,
we're seeing it here.
It's better than the spy guy from Hanging Out with Felix.
The Book of Mormon.
Yeah, Billy. I do like Billy Magnuson. I do like him as an actor.
It was funny. I was
obviously he's a bad guy.
It was.
That's not.
Well, even Bond knows. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's kind of like fishy.
That was funny. I was like, he looked familiar. I'm like, where do I know him from? And I looked him up, and I was like, oh, he's from Game Night.
I do have to point out, like, this was just kind of funny having seen the other Craig one so recently, and like it didn't bother me, and his character in this was still good. I'm like, I love how in this movie Felix is just randomly a completely different person. Like his personality and how he talks is completely different.
Yeah.
He goes from like, hey, you're James Bond? I'm CIA. From like, yeah, how's it going, man? I'm like, okay, Felix.
5 years passed. Shit happened to him.
I was going to say, to be fair, I mean, years have passed since you last saw him. He's probably like, I'm top brass now, and I'm going to retire soon.
It is really funny. I'm like, wow, he completely changed how he plays his character for this movie.
But like, spoiler alert, as you probably already figured high spoilers, his death, though, is like, oh.
Yeah, I was sad. I could like feel it when he was going to die in this movie, but I was still sad.
I did love it like when he was explaining his backstory. Bond's like, you're just a fisher guy from Milwaukee. It's like, oh, I thought I made that up.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, it's like everyone's having the fun one last ride because we got Felix. His death is again awesome action sequence. The hand-to-hand fighting in this movie is amazing.
Yeah, excellent work. And again, you can tell it's real. It's very well coordinated, and that allows you to keep the shots longer. And like you said, Justin, like actually see what's happening. Like you actually tell what's happening and just like watch it happen.
You're aware of your surroundings. You see, like, oh yeah, I remember them walking by in that area. It's like it's not cut to hell, and you're like, which way is up?
I think too, like one of the things I appreciated most too, you said like that everybody's having one last fun ride. See, I feel like we don't get that very much because it's always, oh, this person isn't really dead, or oh, we're setting up the next movie. Like you actually get that sense of closure and like that it is like the last ride with this group.
I felt the same way after No Time to Die ended as I did after Avengers Endgame, where I was like, whew, I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
That was a good end. Obviously, Avengers ain't fucking anytime soon. Even though I'm really done with it. But Bond, it was like, yep, that was a good cap off.
This iteration's done. On to the next one.
Right, now they'll kind of regroup things. Because I was wondering too going in, like, are they going to keep the Craig continuity? We got that answer. And it was again like I've been like conditioned with the blockbusters now, and like with the Marvel stuff, the MCU stuff. It's like, you know, they can't really kill him, right? But they can. They can, and they did. And it's like it's so satisfying to be like, oh, they actually just ended this.
I feel like Daniel Craig was like, fucking kill me so people will stop asking me to do Bond. End that now. I'm not doing more Bond. Fucking kill me so that way I can say, boom, I'm done. There.
Well,
leave me alone.
Isn't he like the oldest person to play Bond, or close to the oldest?
I think Roger Moore ended older. He certainly looked older when he was done.
Or maybe Connery, because Connery was pretty old when he did that random weird Thunderball remake.
Right, yeah, but that's not like it wasn't done by Eon. It was like another company, so it's like technically not in like the line of them.
So do not count it then.
Right, yeah, that doesn't count.
How about the original Casino Royale?
It also does not count.
With what's his face in it?
Isn't Woody Allen James Bond at one point?
No, he's like the villain, I think.
They all play James Bond.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that
literally the entire
cast. It's like everyone's James Bond at the end.
God.
I'm Spartacus.
I can hear Alex is getting upset.
Like, why did they do this? I mean, I guess it worked out because, when they got the rights to Casino was when they did Craig and and it was in need of like a reboot because the end of the Brosnan run. Ugh.
But the reboot worked. It was good to see also some of the supporting cast one last time. Yeah. Like seeing Ben Wishaw's Q, who's a great Q. Naomi Harris as Moneypenny.
See, that's what kind of sucks is those two came into the franchise so late. It's like you didn't get a lot of time with them.
I could honestly see, like they did with Judi Dench,
bringing them over.
Right, but just like completely new continuity, but you keep the same Q and the same Moneypenny, because honestly, they were really good in those roles, and I would like them to stay. Honestly, Ray Fiennes' M was so bland that you can replace him.
Ben Whishaw has said he is done.
Oh, fuck.
That sucks.
He said his contract was for 3 films. He's done 3 films. He's moving on. I'm sure if Eon gave him a bunch of money, he'd probably come back.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is such a perfect cap off.
Right. That's the downside. I was just thinking that too about like how good of a cap off it is. It's like, would any of the actors want to do a new continuity because it ended so well and they all had such a good time?
Yeah. I mean, and my guess is that Eon probably wants to do something. I wouldn't say radically different.
My guess is the whole cast will probably be recasted.
Yeah.
I think this film too kind of shows like the blueprint from where to go next, because it mixed the old and the new, right? It was a little more serious because of the Craig stuff, but it also had
gadgets and was fun.
Right. It kind of combined that with like the older, Connery, Roger Moore, like that kind of stuff, and while still staying true to the Craig ones. And I think that balance is kind of where it needs to go.
Let's get Christopher Nolan to direct one. Let's do it. Come on.
I think they've been trying.
Points in this movie.
I think he doesn't want to.
I thought he wanted to.
I think he does. I think it's the opposite. He does. They just haven't asked him.
Well, Eon is so particular with this brand,
which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like the one company that has not given in to fan demand when the fans get do this, do that.
Well, fans bitched that Daniel Craig was cast. And look how great he turned out to be.
Yeah, they're always wrong. Like, how could you replace Brosnan? How could you do Daniel Craig? He's gonna suck. Why did you not have all the James Bonds come back for this movie? Why was Sean Connery not the old guy in Skyfall?
I think he was supposed to be, but he said no.
Yeah, they said he was too distracting. No, they said they thought about it, but said it would have been too distracting, which
it would have.
Yeah, it's true. Because everyone would have old Bond. Imagine that marketing.
Oh, they're all in the same universe. Fan theory.
Old Bond, new Bond, teaming up for one final mission.
But yeah, that's the kind of thing they haven't done with this brand. Even when like the times it got weaker, like Moonraker or the last 2 Brosnan ones, they always kind of have the counter for like, okay, we're gonna do this now.
Well, I think you kind of saw them going towards. I think it's a happy medium towards what people want, and that is Lashana Lynch's character, where
like having a supporting
where we have a black female 00. Mm-hmm. She's not James Bond.
See, that's the type of thing I didn't mind that she was a 00. Although I did get irritated with it's just a number thing. It's like, then just drop it. Who cares?
Yeah, they did bring that up a few times. I was honestly surprised how much I liked her character. I think that dynamic worked really well.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that dynamic.
She kind of stole the show in the scene she was in.
Yeah, like they're like many rivalry. It does remind me like with Female Agent that Bond is kind of like competing against like Spy Who Loved Me. Like the main female character in that movie is a Russian spy.
Yeah.
And they're like competing, like in this, they're competing to get the same assets. They're like competing to go after the same stuff.
Mm-hmm. What sucked was
brings this fun.
Go ahead.
And she brings this fun energy to it, and that's like the thing is like the movie is just so much fun.
Yeah.
What sucks is all the freaking press about her character prior to the movie. It's like none of that even happened in this movie.
Yeah, and people were still complaining about it. Like I literally heard like someone like a couple seats away from me was like complaining about that already. It's like, dude, you haven't even seen the movie. You're here to see the movie. You haven't even seen it yet. You don't know what happens.
It was a friendly. I liked it. It was a friendly back and forth. She'd get up. She get a good line in. He'd get a good line in. It was even. It was fun. And then she became a very good character.
And they team up at the end, but it didn't feel like eye-rolly.
No.
It was like...
Yeah, that felt very natural. Even like her giving him 007 again, like didn't feel like eye-rolly.
Because he earned her respect.
Yeah.
It felt organic. It felt natural. Let's talk about the villains quick, because we've been talking for a while. So, and we haven't even brought up, which I think is how big this movie is, right? We've been talking for a long time, and we even brought up the actual plot of the movie.
Well, it also kind of shows how kind of bland Rami Malek's character villain could be, because he's not in it a lot.
No, he's really not. Which I mean, Skyfall kind of did that, right? And
yeah, like very effectively, where he like shows up halfway through.
Yeah, and then is there the entire time.
Well, what's interesting with this movie is what it tries to do and doesn't pull off perfectly is because marketing's weird, where you have like the first half of the movie, Blofeld's the villain again. Mm-hmm. And then the back half of the movie, they finally kind of introduce and bring Rami Malek's character, Lucifer Safin, whatever the heck he's supposed to be. They bring him into the limelight. And that, to me, the weakest part of this movie is the villain stuff. Not that Rami Malek was bad. Far from it.
No, he was really good.
Yeah, I think he was very good, and the character was interesting. I don't think it was because, and again, it is, I think, a product of picking up the pieces from Spectre and setting off and trying to make so much work that the villain himself is not fully fleshed out, which at times, is one of the few things that I would say was a weaker point, is that because he had that personal connection that could have been fleshed out more.
Yeah, and I thought we were going to get that, but we just never did.
I saw the movie a week ago, and I still can't tell you what this dude's plan was.
Like, I know he was infected. He wanted like this virus to spread, but like we didn't really. They missed the chance to connect like the fact that his family got killed by Blofeld and
through a virus kind of thing,
right? And that he saved Madeline, to connect that to what his plot is, and it could be something so small, but just to get that moment where he says it. Yes, villain explaining his plot. That's fine. It's a Bond movie. We expect that.
Well, so I guess for people that haven't seen the movie, the main plot involves around this virus that can basically be engineered so that it only attacks specific genes. So it can hit a target. It's developed by M. M hired it, which is the big point of the movie, is that MI6 funds this virus that, of course, gets into the wrong hands, and Rami Malek does something to it that I'm not entirely sure what. But yeah, there's a bad virus. I did leave the movie thinking if that has something to do with why it was delayed for so long.
I don't think so, because Kira's taking the director's word for it, but it was locked up before it was released, and he said he wasn't going to touch it. So
no, but I mean, like a movie about an evil virus.
Well, I know
released during a pandemic. That might not be, for marketing purposes, the most tasteful thing.
True, but that virus is different. It only attacks certain people that they want to kill.
Which is an interesting, from what they do with MI6, right? As a weaponized virus. Cool plot point.
Yeah.
But makes sense, please.
Yeah, and it also gets lost a little bit in, how they, Blofeld has some stuff early on, and they wanted to finish him off, which, he was a little more interesting. I still think they botched Blofeld a little. Okay, I'm going to be honest. Rewatching, I've never liked Blofeld. Maybe it's, all the parody since then, but, honestly, Blofeld got overused in the old ones to a certain point. And then now you kind of get that vibe here, but I actually think in this one it really worked. How that Safin having the vendetta against him for a specific reason, and him kind of still having influence from prison was interesting.
Well, it was also very interesting that Safin knew the scientist who developed the thing.
Yeah, Safin has been in the story the entire time. He's sort of the man behind, but we're not really explained how he got to have his own island and his own call.
In an undisclosed location.
I think they did explain. I think it was because his family was Spectre, I believe. So, and I think his dad owned the island or whatever.
No, his family wasn't Spectre. They were killed by Spectre.
Right. Right.
I think they were Spectre and were killed by Spectre.
I don't know. That's the part I was talking about.
Right. Sorry, I was thinking of Madeline's backstory but that was her dad. That was part of Spectre.
Yeah, and
he might have been a part of another criminal criminal organization, so they got money to blow.
That's the part that got confusing to me. It's like, who is this guy?
Honestly, I was almost waiting. I'm glad they didn't do it because, like, the reveal of Blofeld's real name was so cringy, Inspector. But like, I kept having that vibe where, like, are they about to say he's like Dr. Noah's kid? Because, like, I
think he definitely was, because he was wearing a Japanese no mask, and someone called him doctor at one point.
Well, I also thought that during the Madeline flashback when she's like, oh, he's a doctor, and her mom's like, no, he kills people.
Yeah, so there's definitely like hints that you could say is Rami Malek Dr. No, was his dad Dr. No, that kind of thing. Like, I'm glad it wasn't explicit, but like I kept getting that vibe too, especially how that layer looks looks a lot like the one from Dr. No.
I was gonna say it was very Dr. No-ish.
It was a cool layer.
But like you said, it was nicely done, unlike the previous film where he's like, I'm Blofeld. It's like, no shit.
Yeah.
My name isn't Chuck Johnson.
Oh my god.
It's Blofeld. Yeah, no, we got that.
And we knew when you were casted.
You could even have him keep his old name, and he's still like, we still know who that is. Like, we saw that you even had the fucking cat. We know who that is. And like, they make him get the scar over his eye or whatever, and it's like, I mean, only one of the Blofelds had that, but okay, you can force that in too. There's been like 6 Blofelds. That's the other thing. There's been like 6 dudes playing this character, and he looks different every time. He's never that interesting.
Well, because he's like, when you think of like the cheesy James Bond films that Austin Powers made fun of, with the evil mad scientist who's gonna put a laser on the moon or some shit.
Yeah, that's Blofeld.
yeah, you think of Blofeld.
I think really the only one he was, I would say, effective. Like, I liked it because he wasn't just trying to destroy the world. Was on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which again has direct ties to this, and that's one where he takes direct revenge against Bond because he's pissed that he messed up his plan, so he has his wife killed.
The other issue I had with this movie that I thought was kind of an eye roll moment was his kid.
I knew that kid was coming the moment he left her on the train, because her hand automatically went to her stomach when she was like gasping that he left or whatever.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
Oh, I noticed it right away. I was like, something tells me there's a kid coming later. And lo and behold, there she was.
Not your kid. We know that's his kid.
It's not yours. Dumb. Yeah, it is.
Why are you even telling him that's not his kid?
Where Maury at?
Some stupid scene later where it's like, she's yours, and then he starts crying.
Well, that was the thing. It's like, what'd you do? Bang the next guy you met off the train, and that was the guy. That was the kid's father. Because it's like the kid lines up with how long you guys have been separated.
You can match the timeline. Be like,
I will say I do like how they use the kid, because the one thing that the Daniel Craig movies have done perfectly is make Bond stories personal.
Yes.
And with this movie especially, Bond doesn't sacrifice his life to save the world. He sacrifices his life to protect his family.
Yeah, because he can't, with being injected with the virus, he can't see them again anyway.
Yeah.
See, that was where I was kind of surprised that they actually offed Bond. Because usually I was like, I was going to say, he's just going to survive, but he's never going to be able to see them ever again.
Which would also be really sad. I was like, when he injected him, I'm like, oh shit, I'm actually surprised they did this. Like, that's really fucking sad.
But again, I think part of that was probably Daniel Craig going, put me down. I don't want any more questions anymore.
I want to
too, like the daughter aspect like worked well, because like I was waiting for like all those cheesy moments that all the movies that have that element do, and they kind of avoided that. And also there wasn't like now she's gonna join MI6 and take up the mantle, which again I'm just conditioned by like MCU shit that's just gonna happen.
That's the last scene of the movie, right?
Yep. I was just waiting for that.
She's an adult, and elderly M goes, "Welcome to the squad, 007."
Oh my god!
And hands the gun, and then she does the pose, right? She does the turn, points at the camera.
If that happened, I would say this is the worst Bond movie ever made. Just for that scene alone.
Kevin Feige's James Bond.
That's the thing, right? Though, is like the Broccoli and Eon, they know that sucks.
Yeah.
They know that shit, and they know that nobody wants to see that.
And like, I'm a little worried with the Amazon thing. The question will be, does that happen eventually? But as far as like the current leadership in Eon right now, won't let that happen. In the future, who knows? But right now, they still have the understanding of the franchise.
But that's the thing. MGM doesn't own own the rights. The Broccoli's own the rights.
Right.
If MGM pisses them off, they can say F you, bye-bye.
Yeah.
All they lose is the movies they already made, I think, if they do that. But I don't think they actually lose Bond as a character.
No,
because
they
wasn't
still
there some controversy? Because weren't they talking about leaving MGM like, after Skyfall?
Yeah, they were talking about going to Sony exclusively, because I know Sony, I believe, did distribution for Skyfall.
Yeah,
and they were talking about leaving MGM for Sony.
And MGM was like, no. If you leave, we are done.
You're our bread and butter. You can't leave.
Steve Martin turned down Pink Panther 3. We need you.
Sylvester Stallone can't write Rocky 8.
So I think Amazon will do their best to keep Eon happy, and I do think part of that is that this fad of like changing stuff, right, of taking franchises and changing them up to make them newer, modern, is a very American thing.
Yeah.
They're not doing that in Britain.
Well, it's also why this series has never done well over here in the U.S. It's very much, it blows up in England and everything, but over here, you get a couple that are blow up, but not many.
Yeah, it makes good money here, but not like, I mean, not Venom 2 money, am I right? That's the thing.
Which is sad.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of people are saying that because of this movie that Bond is dead. I saw people going, Bond is dead. It's not doing good. It only made like $56 million in the U.S. opening weekend. But Alex, you were telling me that that's actually comparable to the other Craig movies.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's above the opening for Casino and Quantum. It's I think Skyfall was 70 and Spectre was over 80. Although Spectre and also it's like one of those series that consistently has like legs, so it'll do very well in its subsequent weeks. Especially it skewers older, so like people will be like, I don't want to see it the first weekend. They'll see the second or third. But either way, it's comparable to the other ones domestically.
Yeah, and as long as it's good, it'll carry. It'll have legs for a while.
Yeah.
People are saying it's dead, but it's made $300 million so far, which
right. Yeah, that's the funny thing too. Like comparing it to like Venom is the big domestic one and stuff, but people who say it's not doing well aren't paying attention because it's like, it's like doubled Venom's total gross. Like it's gonna make significantly more money than Venom in total. It's just domestically Venom is higher because I don't know, the U.S. we're stupid. I don't. I don't understand, but yeah, it's worldwide, and it doesn't have the China market either, and it's still making buckets of money. It's going to be the #1 movie in the UK for how long? So it's still going to make a lot of money.
That's an interesting thing. I'd like to know why it doesn't work over here as well.
And that's an interesting question that probably requires lots of research to answer.
Yeah.
Right.
It's an interesting thing to bring up, right? Because everyone talks about how big Bond is, but you're right. People don't see them. But I think I do agree with Alex's point. I don't think people see Bond necessarily opening weekend.
That could be a thing too.
Which is kind of a strange thing, right? Because you think, especially now, everyone wants to go see a movie the exact moment that they can because they don't want spoilers.
Yeah.
Well, I think too because it's not like a part of the giant cinematic universes where on Monday everything will be spoiled because it also connects to the 8 TV shows you're watching the next week, and they'll already have episodes that tie into them. There's like that rush where they're so heavily weighed in that first weekend, especially domestically.
That is true. I'm not seeing articles.
Yeah, you don't see much about
the significance of doo-doo and what doo-doo means for the future of the Bond movies.
Yeah, that might have something to do with it too. It's not as like, oh, we got to know what's going to happen. Everyone kind of knows this is the last Daniel Craig, and there'll be another Bond after him.
And in the past too, it was like it literally doesn't connect to anything else. It's a standalone movie, so that was even more prevalent. Like, oh, it doesn't connect to anything. I can see it whenever. Well,
and I mean this in the most respectful way possible. It doesn't appeal to the plebs. Like the American, our media tastes are very defined. And like you can act like they're not. They are. We like CGI garbage that's not very dark, that's kind of like wholesome, that's part of a bigger franchise with big action scenes that we think are epic.
That gives me big sad.
I was just thinking the same thing.
We like franchises. We like big. We like big. We like loud.
He's got to be holding a gun, smoking a cigar while having a hot honey on his side.
We like big, loud popcorn movies that are, for some reason, consistently over 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Somehow, I don't understand.
Well,
I think Bond too. Like,
going off of that, this movie was almost 3 hours. This movie was very well paced.
Oh, as soon as I started, it was starting to lose me when he goes to Malin's house and meets his kid. But then there's that really cool SUV chase.
Well, that's what I mean.
Right after that.
in the forest.
But that's what I mean. Like, this movie is like, it has its like little lull moments, but then you're right back into action and everything picks up again. It's like, I was never like, come on, let's go. Is it over
honestly,
yet?
When that part came, I was like, and like they got taken, I'm like, holy fuck, we're at the low point. Like, we're like almost done.
Well, I remember because I saw this at Alamo Drafthouse, and Alamo Drafthouse gives you your bill 40 minutes before a movie ends, roughly. And around that time, when that speech is when the bill came. And I was like, what the hell is this? It's been 2 hours? No.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I mean, that was
and again, like I was worried because of how long it was, and I'm just used to all these bloated franchise movies that are coming out now, and I'm like, oh, I really hope this doesn't drag. And it's like, it felt like one of the fastest Bond films, which is always a franchise that generally feels very well paced. And it's like, wow, I was like, wow, it's been 2 hours.
It's 2 hours and 45 minutes, but hell, I wish it was longer.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
I would watch the 3.5 hour cut of that.
Well, Bond has always been very like deliberately paced too. Like, you know, we're used to like, this had a lot of action, but we're used to like action, and it has to be super big. Like Bond has like all of the great ones have like those investigative bits that take a while to build up what's happening, and that happens in this one with the Cuba thing. Like he's, you know, after the open and after the credits, you take a while to kind of build up and gather information, and then you get a big scene.
And the big scenes that we get are big, and they're good. Because there's practical effects, there's good direction, there's not just CGI used to replace actual filmmaking. It's
actual vehicles in a vehicle chase.
Well, I mean, just that like helicopter shot of him driving the motorcycle through, I forget where they are in the beginning of the film, and he rides that thing up the edge. It was a great shot.
Why is Bond's tux real and not CGI?
And then the other I always think about is the chase, like we talked about, leading into the forest, and there's that pullback shot with the helicopter and the cars, and I'm like, damn, that looks really good. Like, because Skyfall has that random horrible CGI helicopter, and then the real one at the end. But I was just thinking about that. I'm like, oh, that's actually real.
I remember being skeptical about Cary Fukunaga as director for this because he replaced Danny Boyle, who's a much more proven name. I'm like, damn, they picked the right freaking dude for this.
Yes, they did.
He knew what we wanted.
Yep.
Probably because that's probably what he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, they took their time. This movie had a bunch of writers that all, I think, really crafted it. I think most of the humor was Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I know that there was some concern with her.
Well, yeah, it's just, you know, internet speculation. They really, exactly. They brought her in for joke punch up because, Purvis and Wade have been doing it for a while, and they haven't had as many jokes in theirs generally, you know, because they started with the last two Brosnan ones and have done all the Craig ones, and it's like, you know, they haven't had as many jokes, and they kind of wanted some of that classic Bond humor, which he really brought, I think.
Well, I think part of it is that Knives Out proved that Daniel Craig can... Knives Out and Logan Lucky proved that Daniel Craig can be funny.
Yeah.
Oh. Dude actually has comedic timing.
Anyone who's listening, if you want to see Daniel Craig in a very good comedic role, watch Logan Lucky. He is hilarious.
He's so off type because we all think of him as like stern, cool, grumpy Daniel Craig.
Instead, you get kind of Daniel Craig with a southern accent with kind of a lisp, and then
freaking Beck had Daniel Craig.
Yeah, with tons of tattoos.
Not seen that movie, actually.
Oh, you gotta check it out. It's a lot of fun.
I should.
When I think of like Daniel Craig being like generic Daniel Craig, I think of Cowboys and Aliens. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, why is Daniel Craig in this? But he's a much better actor than some of the roles he's been given.
Yeah.
And I think this last movie, proves that he has acting chops. There's one big part we touched on a little bit, but I think we need to go into a little bit more in depth before we stop. And that's the Billie Eilish main title theme, because that's an important part of a Bond movie, right, Alex? You know this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and especially I feel like really a lot of times the best themes do tie to the best movies with a couple exceptions, but that's like you're waiting for that intro credits and how cool are the intro credits and how's the song and how does it fit the movie.
Mm-hmm. And see, I have a hot take when it comes to at least the Craig Bond songs, because everyone just over Skyfall, and it is a good song. My favorite is probably "You Know My Name" by Chris Cornell.
That's a good one too.
I actually agree. Like, I mean, Skyfall is to me one of the best songs. It's fantastic, but like there's something about the Chris Cornell one and just like, especially, I mean, that opening titles, that might be my favorite title sequence with the tie with the cards and just like how it visually looks, and that song and how it kind of like ushered in the new Bond, right? I think that all fit so perfectly that might be my favorite one. Yeah. Well, probably besides the Goldfinger song.
That one's good too.
It's so energetic, and honestly, I think Skyfall was bad for Bond because I think Skyfall is the reason why the next three songs, or the next two songs after it, were these slow, depressing, big, really sad numbers.
I will say about the Writing on the Wall one by, I forget who sang it, but
Sam Smith.
It did get it got quicker pace during it at times. With Billie Eilish one was just kind of like slow the entire time, I kind of felt.
But it was atmospheric, whereas I think Writing on the Wall was just bad.
Oh yeah, I hate that one. I hate Writing on the Wall. that and the Madonna one are the two. I think are the two worst Bond songs. Because if you have not heard the Die Another Day song, go listen and you'll see what I'm talking about. Nothing against Madonna, but that style of song in a Bond movie felt really weird. But I actually really like this one, especially like I liked it when it came out, but especially seeing it with the movie, I think it fits the movie perfectly, and like I really like the song.
And like I'm not a big fan of Bobby Eyelash, but I don't like. I don't know. I just made a lot of people angry by saying that. But I don't know.
I kind of like some of it. Yeah,
I like it too. But like I'm autistic, man. When I'm in the car and someone is really close to a mic, whispering into it, I get anxious. It makes me upset. I don't like it. But she can actually sing when she wants to, and this song proves it. And I think to me, like the big finale one needed a song like this. I mean, if I had to rank the Craig ones, just because those are the ones I've seen, I've heard some songs from the other one. Nobody Does It Better is pretty fucking amazing.
I love that.
Live and Let Die's great. But the Craig ones, number 1, Chris Cornell. Number 2 is Skyfall. 3 is No Time to Die. 4 is the Quantum of Solace one that I don't remember what it's called, but I know it's Jack White. And the 5th one was Writing on the Wall.
Can Writing on the Wall be 6th?
Sure, that could be 6th. Alex, does that compare to where yours is, or?
That, I think, would be my ranking as well. Oh, yeah, again, it's like the top 3 are like heavily weighted because those are 3 of the best Bond songs, even though I do like Another Way to Die is the Quantum one. I do like that one, but I think it's not in the same tier as those. And then like Sam Smith is like 8 tiers below that. Fucking hate that song.
Justin, how about you?
Probably. I haven't seen Quantum Solace in a while, so I have to rewatch it to see the song again.
The Quantum song's pretty forgettable.
Like a lot of that movie, a lot of that movie's forgettable. I remember it was on the other day, and I watched a half hour of it, and I don't even remember it.
It all came back to me.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know, like
I wasn't really paying attention, so
the editing is garbage, though.
Yeah,
you Alex, though, are also like one of you're probably the biggest Bond fan of all of us.
Yeah.
Oh, no question. I just watched all of them this year.
See, I need to buy that pack from Walmart because I want to see them all.
There's so many. I mean, and I wouldn't say, there's only one that I would say is like a bad movie, but it's not like aggressively bad. There are a few like weaker ones, but there's nothing that's just like utter unwatchable garbwhich.
Well, we ranked the song.
Oh, I was going to say, is it the one with the Bond girl named Christmas?
Christmas. What? Which one is?
It's who was before Craig?
Brosnan. Wait, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
I thought Christmas only came once a year.
Oh my God, that's right. Okay, yeah. So the last Brosnan one, yeah, it got to like comical levels of like literally everyone is pulling like the outrageous innuendo lines, and it's like just stop. Like I said, that's the one that and tons of CG, and it got totally ridiculous. It's like, damn, this needed a reboot. I mean, there's a fucking giant igloo as a base that gets melted by something that directs the rays of the sun by a guy who was Korean at the start of the movie and becomes the guy from Black Sails, the British guy, through DNA reconstruction, and it's this is what, honestly, by everybody I mean people who go, remember the 90s. Everybody loves Brosnan, and Brosnan is a great Bond. His movies are the worst ones.
Yeah, after the
with the
first
exception,
one,
GoldenEye is excellent. Tomorrow Never Dies is actually a pretty solid movie. The next two are like bottom three, like they're bad, or like they're not good. I wouldn't say they're horrible, but okay, his last one's not good. It's watchable, barely.
Okay, we ranked the songs. Now let's rank the Craig movies.
Copy.
Which I mean, I think
list of Craig songs. Pace list of Craig movies. Honestly, Skyfall and Casino is hard for me. Those are very close.
Yeah,
it's hard for you. I honestly might put Casino above Skyfall.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Because like Skyfall is certainly like the like craftsmanship, like how it's made and directed and shot, is the best of any Bond movie.
Yes.
But I think the story of Casino, like both have a great story. Casino's story is just like that, and the stunts are just a little bit better. So like I think that puts it over the top. And so smart.
Just feels so suave watching it.
Yeah. So I think that the aspect, the emotional core of the story, as good as the M stuff is, like everything with Vesper is so good, and just that intricate plot with Mads Mikkelsen and the banking and the poker game, and like that just puts it that little bit over the top. So that's my number one.
Okay, so I'm at Casino. Alex at Casino. Justin, are you at Casino, or where are you at?
Yes.
Okay, so 2, Skyfall.
Yep.
Skyfall.
But literally those two, like pick a day, and I could go the other way around.
Yeah.
3, No Time to Die.
Yep.
I agree. I guess
this is where I get conflicted.
Yeah. See, mine is easy. Mine is easy, like, because again, I've been defending Quantum here. Mine is easily Quantum.
I would probably go Quantum as well, just because, like we talked about earlier, in Spectre, it seems like no one really wants to be there.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, yeah, like comparing those two, like in Quantum, Spectre feels more threatening than they do in Spectre, and like that they kind of feel a bit more ominous and powerful, and like there's some interesting things they do with that. And I think the action, like, and there's some shit editing, but there are a few quality like fight scenes in Quantum.
Yeah, because Quantum also has like the opera house scene that's cool as hell.
Yeah, I really like that.
Like that's just a really good sequence. The end of Quantum is kind of anticlimactic, and you're kind of like, well, that's it.
I think that's probably between the bad editing and the ending. I think that's kind of where Quantum just kind of you forget about it.
Because Casino Royale has the poker game end, but then you have the final sequence where they're in the sinking building. That's a really good action set piece.
In Skyfall, you got the battle at basically the Home Alone battle.
Yeah, which is really good. And Quantum is like, well, we had a building being flooded in the last movie, so now let's do fire.
I think my problem with it is more
fucking nowhere.
I think my problem with it is more like, I think Act 2 just kind of ends, and then you get to the climax and you're like, oh, we're at the end? Because I think Act 2 of Quantum has a lot of really good plotting and stuff, but then like Act 3 just kind of happens, and then it's in this building in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, okay, we're this is it? We're here?
Did you run out of money? What happened?
Writer's strike.
You drove the villain to the middle of the desert to have him drink gasoline and die? What?
But honestly, Spectre, if I rewatch it and stuff, it might go up just because No Time to Die. Because Spectre, when I saw it, was like, this feels pointless. Why does this exist? Why did they make this?
Yeah, for me, there's just some really
nothing's
stuff
included.
Like, why does he put Madeline in the basement of MI6 and write stuff on the wall like he's Joker? And why does Bond so easily get away from his desert lair and just blow it up? Like, he literally just goes to the home base of Spectre and walks out. Like, he had more trouble in Quantum getting out of his own MI6 base because they had like that double agent there than he did walking out of the main base of Spectre.
Yeah, so I did have a problem with that movie, but I don't think it's a bad movie. It's just
it's like
I do think that the poster and DVD cover are now hilarious in context, because the cover is that super seductive of Bond, and then there's the dude in the skull mask like behind Bond, because usually that's the villain, right? This new poster is the villain, but it's Bond. That dude is Bond.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense.
I never thought of it that way. Fuck. That's so funny.
It's freaking hilarious because it doesn't make any sense.
Music videos where like you have the person and then you have their face facing the opposite way, like faded in the background. Bond and Bond singing a duet.
Yeah, like 90s love songs. Although let's be real here, the best James Bond thing of all time is Snake Eater.
I know. So Snake Eater is really just like Goldfinger.
Hush. Hideo Kojima was probably pissed watching fucking No Time to Die going, nanomachines, hey, wait a minute. You can't rip me off back.
You all dunked on me for doing this in Metal Gear Solid 2.
You called me a madman.
Which is still true.
He's gone long past madman.
Yeah, I don't even know what to call him anymore. Besides washed.
But he's such a nice
Come
guy.
at me. You wanna counter me? Make another good game for once. Fucking makes sense.
If he actually makes Silent Hills,
all will be forgiven. Okay, not Metal Gear Solid 5, but I'll forgive you for everything else. That just can't be forgiven.
I'm pretty sure Death Stranding's what can't be forgiven. Play a game where you're just a freaking Uber driver, basically, just carrying shit from one end of the map to the other.
FedEx delivery, man.
I don't understand what the point of that game is. I really don't. I'm pretty sure that he doesn't either. Why are you Norman Reedus? Why is Mads Mikkelsen in this? Why is Guillermo del Toro in this? But, I mean, to be fair, video games. Bond games are pretty sweet, too. Everyone talks about how great GoldenEye is, which is true, but some of those other ones.
I think I had the Nightfire one.
Nightfire is a good one.
If you did either of you play Everything or Nothing?
No.
Okay, that's literally like, I just count that. That's the second best Brosnan Bond movie. It's just a video game, because that is an excellent game with a good story.
You could do the Nightfire one too. That's Brosnan too, I think.
Yep, which is funny. Yeah, Brosnan era had amazing games.
Wasn't there a game where you played as the man who killed Bond and Sean Connery's in it?
Oh yeah, that's the rogue agent one. It's okay.
You don't sound super.
No, I mean it had some stuff that was okay. It's like I don't know why it's called a Bond game. Like, you know, I mean, it's just like, oh, you kill Bond at the beginning, and then it's just a random shooter.
One I did play was Blood Money, which, if you haven't played that one, it's not bad, but it's kind of from the era of weird 2000 late 2000s PS3 license games.
Yeah, actually, I did play that one. I never finished it. Like it was like
Bloodstone.
I think it was Blood. Yeah, I think it was.
It's Bloodstone. I said Blood Money. It's Bloodstone.
Yeah, it was just kind of missing something. Like, felt a little unfinished.
Yeah, I remember gunplay being kind of wonky.
Yeah, it was really just they tried to do some of the third-person cover shooting from Everything or Nothing, but it felt more like awkward.
It felt to me like they were trying to almost do Uncharted a little bit.
Yeah.
But Uncharted's gunplay isn't even that great to begin with.
I was going to say, it's not why you play that game.
Oh, I forgot to tell you who the villain of Everything or Nothing is.
It's Willem Dafoe.
It's fucking Willem Dafoe, yeah.
But like, the Brosnan Bond games, they went all out for it, and it was kind of weird.
Yeah, because GoldenEye is like literally one of the greatest games ever made, period. Which is crazy. Like, it's better than the movie, which is a really good movie. But yeah, they basically made like full like Bond movie level games multiple times with Brosnan.
I would love a new James Bond game.
They're making one.
Are they?
That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot
the
about
Hitman
that. Ooh, I
company
have
is
my
making a
own.
Bond game.
Ooh.
Because that's one of the big controversies right now is that they might be bought by Microsoft.
So it might not happen, or
It might be exclusive, or it's the test. I've heard people say.
By controversial, you mean so many people are mad?
Well, from what I've heard, it might be the test for the sale. Depending on how it sells, they might that might determine. There's something. There's a game coming out that they're making that will determine whether or not.
Because they're independent. They went independent, right? Because they broke up from it was Square. Was it Square Enix?
Yeah, it was Square.
No,
Enix.
It was
Square Enix.
Yeah,
because they originally it was IDOS, and then IDOS got sold to Square Enix.
And then they went under, right? Or like they just bought Hitman from them.
Yeah, and then they just left. Yeah, because November 2020, the company announced Project 007, no James Bond video game. Which, if any company should do a Bond game, it's them.
Yeah, like the disguise thing. I mean, obviously it would be different than Hitman's, but just like that, like detection information gathering is very James Bond.
Mm-hmm. Like this is a game where it's not going to be like your normal James Bond games where we go into a room and go bang, 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 bang. It's going to be, I think, a lot more like the spy angle.
Oh.
Yeah, and then building up to later, bang, 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 bang.
Oh, imagine you using gadgets is probably going to be a big thing too.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I wonder if they're going to base it on any Bond particular, or they're just going to create their own Bond.
I think they're going to go original.
I think too.
I hope so.
And I'd let them.
Yeah.
Unless they somehow the game's probably too far along. I bet it's an original because it's like whoever the next one is would not be ready by then.
No, because I'm sure they don't even know who that's going to be yet.
I believe whoever the next Bond is probably already cast. That's my opinion. Unless they're going to let this franchise rest for a few years, which I don't think they'll do.
No, because actually, there have been such big gaps. Like traditionally, there was this big gap here, and there was 4 years between Quantum and Skyfall. But usually, there's a Bond every 3 years traditionally. So this was a long gap. I mean, 5 years became 6 years with this one. So they really wanted to get them out there more often again, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know who they're gonna go with. Like I truly have no idea. Idris Elba said no. I think Henry Golding's a really good guess.
I could see it. Well, this is just because he's big. I wonder if they'll go someone smaller like Craig was, or if they go for Tom Hardy.
I think Hardy's just too old. I think they're gonna want to
younger. I think so too. Because you want to get more movies.
Yeah.
How old is Henry Cavill?
Mid-30s, probably late 30s by now.
I heard people say they want him. Yeah, he's 38.
He already did Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah, it was and Mission Impossible.
Yeah, pick someone
Richard
else.
Madden.
I've seen his name come up a few times.
Whose?
Yeah, someone like that.
Richard Madden.
He was in Game of Thrones as Robb Stark, and he was in that show Bodyguard.
He's in the Eternals.
Oh yeah, and that.
He's not.
I can't remember the name of it because it looks like the most generic MCU movie trailer I've seen.
I remember after Spectre, people, the front man for the betting polls after Spectre was Damian Lewis, and I thought that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, he was too. He's isn't he older than Daniel Craig?
He might be. He actually might be.
Yeah, I mean now he's 50, so maybe not, but close. I mean they're very close.
Yeah. So I don't think that is going to happen. I don't know who I think. I think they're definitely going to go younger. Even Richard Madden might even be too old. I think they're going to pick someone relatively unknown who might even be under 30.
Yeah, I was looking up actors under 30.
Because I think Craig was early 30s when he was cast.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll go with someone who's not a white guy. I don't think that it's a guarantee. I don't think they'll cast a woman.
No,
they've said it's going to be James Bond. So.
Ooh, I just came up with an interesting choice. I don't think he'd be. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's too big. Nicholas Hoult?
I have heard his name thrown around. I think around Spectre, I saw his name get thrown around.
I don't think he'd be bad, and I think he might actually be decent in that role.
Yeah, that could work.
I just don't know if he's too big.
He'd do Bond.
Well, I know, but I mean, just for if they were going to go for an unknown or not.
Yeah, because I think, honestly, think about it, like how often. Yeah, because I mean, Craig was like kind of up and coming, but relatively unknown. Brosnan was Brosnan was only big because they didn't get him when they first wanted him, because they wanted him when they got Dalton, but he was doing that TV show which ended up making him famous, Brosnan. But then before that, like, you know, Roger Moore was like a TV actor, and Sean Connery, that's what made Connery big. Mm-hmm. Connery became like massive, but you know. So
they'll probably pick someone who probably never heard of. Like, if we want to know who the next Bond is, we probably have to go and scan for British TV stars.
Yeah,
like British TV or independent film, and then it'll be like, then all the fans will be like, "Who the fuck is this? I wanted Tom Hiddleston," and then they'll throw a fit, and then the movie will come out, and he'll be really good because not a single person has done a bad job as James Bond that they've cast, and then then everyone will calm down.
But you're right. This can be a cycle outrage, though. It happens every time. With not just Bond.
Batman
happens every fucking time.
Who Nicholas Hoult was up for that one too.
Christian Bale can't be Batman. Robert Pattinson can't be Batman.
The only time that actually worked was Jared Leto as Joker. Fans were mad and he sucked.
And they were right.
See, but I'm always going to give, until I see the movie, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Everyone got burned with Heath Ledger as Joker, thinking it was going to be garbage, and he delivered one of the greatest performances of all time.
And, like, there are exceptions, but, like, I mean, these people are professionals at casting, right? Like, you know, and especially for these big roles that are, like, the companies take these movies very seriously. You know, they're going to take who plays Bond very seriously.
They want their movie to make money. That's how they make money.
Sometimes they get it wrong, but give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, since we're kind of running out of time here, let's just do final scores on No Time to Die. Final scores. Alex, you kick us off. You're the Bond expert. You watched all the movies. What is your verdict?
I think, you know, it's one of those that it does get better the more I think about it, but I was initially at 4 out of 5, and that's still where I am. Although there's only, I would say 4 at most of the Bond films I would give like 4.5. There's a number of them I would have at 4, but this is, you know, in that upper tier of like the great Bond films. And it gets better the more I think about it, but I think 4 out of 5 is like a solid landing spot.
Justin, how about you?
Good, because that's about where I put it. I couldn't quite get to 4.5, and I was like, but it was kind of funny because I was like, it's not 4.5, but I think it's a little better than 4. I'm like, we need like a 4.25.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
That's how I feel too.
It's an excellent film.
Yeah, I'm at 4. I want to go 4.5, but the villain stuff is just,
it brings it down a little bit.
It's too bad. Like I can't just ignore it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I feel like Mads Mikkelsen or Javier Bardem's character are in this movie instead. That's 4.5.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. But unfortunately, I'm at 4. It's still good. I think it's still a must watch in a theater.
Yes.
Go see it on the biggest screen you possibly can.
That last shot of him staring up at the rockets coming at him, great, beautiful shot.
Yeah, that's a theater, you know,
I saw that in Dolby Atmos big show, and so the seats rumbled.
Oh, I bet that was great.
That was a eyes roll back of your head. Oh my God, this is why we go to the movies moment.
This is why I come to the theater.
Basically. So yeah, I think people should go see it. I'm not even a big Bond guy. And I'm like, that was fun. I want to see more Bond films now because of it.
You know me, I'll highly recommend.
And considering that you haven't really said that any of them are bad, which surprises me with you.
No, there are some that are like, I would say there are a couple, and by a couple I really only mean like 3 or 4 other ones of the 25 that are like Spectre level.
I was gonna say there's like maybe 5 at most that are really bad.
Yeah, and then other than that, like, they're all varying levels of good. Like, some are pretty good, some are great.
And that's pretty good for a franchise that's been as long as Bond. Anyway, we're out of time. Thanks everyone so much for listening. If you think we're wrong or want to talk with us, reach out to us on YouTube with the comments. Go to our Facebook page. Go to our Letterbox profiles. They are in our social media. We have reviews of this movie. Comment on our stuff. We'd love to hear what you think of our thoughts. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. For Alex and Justin, I'm David Yanish. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Idiot Plot. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, follow us on Facebook and Letterbox. The links are in the description.